Hey, what's up? Oh, I gotta adjust headphone stuff. This, and there we go. Everything sounds much better. All right, well, let's just jump right into this. Yeah, okay, so, finally, I didn't do nearly as much work, this week. That's not to say that I did no work on the game, because I certainly did do work on the game. Um, I finally kind of just took a break, sat back, got some other stuff done. There's a lot of stuff that I really needed to get done that's like, not related to the game. There's stuff that I had kind of fallen back on, and yeah, actually, it's still not finished. But I got a nice jump on that, so probably do some more work on that stuff throughout this week, which hopefully if all goes well. I know it means I won't have much to show next stream, but still, it's important stuff that needs to be done. So, hopefully, that will be the case. I won't have much to show you next time because I would have been busy doing other life stuff. In addition to that, I was saying about just like taking a break to kind of relax instead of like, focusing so much on the game, which I did do that as well. I know last time I talked about trying to play Scarlet Nexus, but I don't know. I guess it just wasn't clicking with me. I haven't played it at all this past week, but I watched a really bad video about the BioShock games. It was one of those unnecessarily long fucking video essays. I didn't manage to watch the whole thing. I don't know who has time to sit through that kind of stuff. And in fact, actually, I don't think it was a very good video. The content of itself was just, it was unnecessarily long. Like, it's just following the fucking trend of making unnecessarily long video essays about, I don't know, sniffing fucking farts about shit, about, about fucking game design. And being way too long. That's besides the point. I hate those kind of videos. Why did I click on it? I don't know, because fucking YouTube algorithm. Anyways, the content of the video aside, it was a review on BioShock, and watching the gameplay made me interested in playing BioShock 2 and BioShock Infinite, because actually I loved BioShock 1. I played it, back in the day when it released on the 360. That was the first time I had played it. And then I had later actually bought it on PC as well, and played through it there. I've played through BioShock 1 many times. Really like BioShock 1. But I never actually played BioShock 2 or BioShock Infinite. And watching that unnecessarily long video essay, watching the gameplay footage that was being put on in the background, it made me interested in. Coincidentally, they were on sale this week, so I was able to pick up a bundle of like all of BioShock for like dirt fucking cheap. It was like $5 for the whole BioShock franchise, including all of the DLC. So I've been actually pretty into BioShock 2, and I look forward to trying out BioShock Infinite as well. So anyways, did a little bit of game playing this past week as well, not just working on games. So now, what got done this past week? Not a lot. There's not a lot to show off. There is a lot to show off here, but overall it was just mostly applying tiles. There in the community itself, I worked on the initialization of a couple of different quests. This character here, as well as this character here, both of them have their initializing moment, I guess you'd say, the introduction of these characters. Both of those have been implemented. I also added this new area to the town. That's because this character, which is the same character here, this is just at different moments in the event. There's two different sprites. It just made it easier to like turn off this version of the sprite and turn on this version of the sprite. So, anyways, yeah, I was trying to figure out where to put this character, and I didn't know where to put her in the town, because this is kind of like where she's gonna idle. Like, this is the start of the event, but when she's just idling, when you're not actually participating in her quest, this is where she idles. And I was trying to figure out where to put her. I know I have this abandoned house here. I need to switch cameras. There we go. That's the right one. All right, let's rewind a little bit and show you the right information. Okay, in the town there are these two new events here, up here at this cemetery-like area, and then this girl here next to the church. Both of these have had their initializing quests created. So that's just like when you get introduced to them. That's like the very start of the quest. So, and then after you meet her here, then she will just idle in this area down here. And I know I have this house and this house, both of these houses, which really don't have a lot of purpose, so I could easily make one of these houses like hers, and put her there. But I actually really kind of want more NPCs just kind of wandering around the map to kind of make it feel more filled in, you know, make like there's more activity going on. So I was trying to figure out where I could put her. And I decided that there's not really any good place. I kind of liked her just wandering around the park. It also makes sense story-wise. We'll get to that in just a minute. You'll understand why. So I kind of liked her wandering around the park, but since Joy is already there, I didn't really want two NPCs so close to each other. Not yet. Like, I would be fine with putting another NPC here if things start getting crowded. They're probably not going to get crowded. I don't have that many ideas for these NPC quests, storylines, whatever you want to call them. I'm pretty sure if possible, I wanted to avoid putting another NPC so close to another NPC. So I just decided, you know what? I have this section down here, this bottom corner of the map that all I need to do is clear out some trees here, put the stairs there, and also wall off some of the areas so the player can't go off, over here where it's not really fully decorated. And there we go. We have another area for the player to explore. So yeah, I went ahead and put that in there as well. So yeah, both of these, actually, I'm pretty excited about these events. I'm not going to go into too much detail as usual, because I'd rather the player kind of get to experience the story the first time, instead of like talking about instead of spoiling all the story before the game has even come out. So I don't really talk about the story right now. But I will say that actually, and I had wanted to do this from the beginning. I don't want to make this sound like it was just something kind of like off the cuff. I thought it would be kind of fun to reference my book. And so actually both of these characters, like, there's a third character inside the blue house here as well. So there's a character in here, which is Quill. If you had either read my book, which is available for free to read online, I've started putting links to all of my stuff down in the description now. So there should be a link down in the video description to everything, including my previous game. Go check it out. My music, go check it out. And my book, go check it out. So yeah, anyways, Quill is in this house. He still needs some artwork. I'm thinking about, I need to buy another asset pack. I'm not going to hire an artist to do sprite work for Quill, because he's just a one-off NPC. But so I'll probably have to try to find some sort of asset pack that maybe has a convincing enough Quill in there. So anyways, so Quill's in there, and then this is Senna, which Senna was not in the first book that I wrote, and the second book has never been published because it's not actually finished. So anyways, Senna is there, and then this is Trisha, which is another character from the book. And so all three of those characters are actually from my book, and this is sort of like I guess you could say an alternate timeline in the story where things work out a little bit better for all of these characters. And I thought that would be kind of fun. It explores similar story beats, but for one, it's portrayed from a different perspective because obviously you're the player, um, and so you're kind of like a third party outside of these events, which already kind of made an interesting twist on it. And second of all, I don't really want to spoil my own book, and yeah, my own book kind of deals with some heavy shit. So, and this is a pretty lighthearted game, so rather than make players feel depressed in a lighthearted game, it's an alternate storyline where things actually work out for these characters. So it's kind of been fun trying to like restructure some parts of my book to fit these events, which is why there's only an introduction. That's the other thing too, is like these NPC I keep calling them quests. They're not really quests. They're like vignettes. They're like short storylines with each NPC, and that's just it. They're like short. They're short vignettes, and so also considering that the second book, like I said, is not finished. This whole storyline that involves these three characters that the event is based off of is like 50 pages long, and I don't have 50 pages worth. I'm not gonna. That would be like a whole game on its own. That would be its own like fucking visual novel. So I'm not gonna implement that. So it's also kind of trying to like take those 50 pages and just kind of scrunch it down to the most meaningful parts. So anyways, yeah, I've been working on that. I got started on that like last weekend, and then I just kind of implemented these characters and just called it good. I did some more work on the town stuff as well. There's probably a good chance that I will completely forget that I've implemented this and just wind up showing off on stream accidentally. But I don't want to show this yet because I think it's really fucking cool. But I did some more music as well. And it's the music for the town. And since, a couple of streams ago I showed you the main theme, which is actually part of the town's theme as well. And now that I had that completed, I would be able to work on a lot more music that is related to the game, because I'd be using basically that structure, and retooling it for different stuff. And so I've kind of taken, it was sort of unintentional. I realized it as I was like playing it, as I was playtesting this feature, that it kind of reminds me of like Animal Crossing in a way, where like in Animal Crossing, like at every hour there's like a bell that tolls before the music changes over to whatever the new music is for that hour. But instead of this being a time-based real-time kind of thing, that's not how it works. But instead you have the community experience, the community level that's going up, and you'd reach these milestones, and so those milestones have their own unique music for each one. And actually what it is it's taking that theme that I played a few streams ago. That's like the final level, so that's the highest level of the community, very joyful, very full of energy and life, just like the town. And basically what I've done is I've scaled that back, and restructured and retooled it so that each one of these milestones is basically that theme evolving from a very sparse theme and slowly kind of building up, getting more energy, more life, more energy, more life, more energy, more life. And then finally, it culminates into that big, exciting, happy song. So, and it took a while. It took I had to create an audio controller here, which I'm still not entirely happy with how this audio controller works, just because the logic can be interrupted. And I think that's the part that frustrates me the most. So maybe I need to take this audio controller and put it onto a common event. That just kind of occurred to me just now, so I wonder if that'll work. I don't know if I'm going to play test that during the stream, because like I said, I really want players to experience that, because I think it's really cool when you experience it by yourself. When I was play testing this, it's just so fucking cool. It's just unfortunate, like I said, right now the way the logic works is that you can interrupt the logic. So it creates a transition where the current music, when you reach a new milestone, a new level. As you can see right here in my if statement, new community rank earned. So when you reach a new rank, the current background music will begin to fade out. It'll wait a little bit. There'll be some church bells that will play. The church bells itself plays for a really long time, so this 600 frame buffer right here is just to, it's just so that way it doesn't immediately start playing the music before the bells finish. So anyways, the bells will play, and then once the bells are finished playing, it will play the next song, the next level up song. It'll fade in it says 3, but it'll fade in the background music across 3 frames, and that's just because I had to do some masking for the way that the music has been rendered. The loop is, it's not the cleanest loop. Actually, the loop itself is perfect. It's the very initial start that's kind of dirty, and I had to play around a lot with the renders of the music. I had to do some really wacky stuff to get the render to loop very well, and this was like the cleanest I could do. So I just had to mask the start a little bit with like a 3 frame fade in. So it's a very quick fade in, but it helps mask some of the messiness of the start of the song. So anyways, so yeah, this is my audio controller here that controls the way that the music works. And actually, this is just looking at one stage. The controller itself will switch through these different stages as it levels up. So this is like the second milestone, because the first milestone, the very first version of the song, is set by default. So it doesn't need the controller to control that, because it'll just happen with the start of the game, basically. So that one's not here in the audio controller. So this is the second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank. So yeah, that's the audio controller there that I had to build. And I've playtested a lot, and like I said, it works great. I'm really happy with it. The problem is that if you enter any of these buildings while it is in the middle of processing this section here, as you can see, there's a lot of waiting. So this is waiting 10 seconds, and then waiting 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Yeah? 10 seconds. Oh, yeah. So it's waiting 10... Okay, sorry, I got that in the wrong order. The fade out, it can fade out the music. Anyways, these two are the same, basically is what I'm saying. So let's just say we wait 10 seconds, and then it plays the bells, which takes about 10 seconds for it to do the whole bell chime thing, and then the music finally starts. And then it'll go through these next stages very, very quickly, so it'd be difficult to interrupt these. But if at any time, like say for example, while the music is fading out, a player enters a building, then it will stop processing the audio controller. Fortunately, the way the logic is handled is that it basically just interrupts it. So when the player leaves the building, it'll just start back at the beginning again. It'll just start with the fade out, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then finally it'll be able to switch. But anytime that the player, for whatever reason, leaves the town, if it has not gotten all the way down to self-switch A in the logic, then it will have to restart processing all of this every single time the player enters the town, the exterior of the town. So that's a little bit of a problem, and I'll have to play around with it. One of the ideas I had before, considering the common event idea that I just mentioned just a moment ago, was to actually just effectively shorten this to reduce the possibility. So like 10 seconds is... I like how gentle the transition is with the 10 seconds, basically 20 seconds between, it's basically 20 seconds from where the previous song is to where the next song is, because you have the 10-second fade out, the 10-second bell chimes, and then the next song begins. So it's effectively 20 seconds between song and song. And I like how gentle that is. But for the sake of making sure that it can actually process all of this, I did consider maybe shortening that time as well, which maybe that's something that I'll try. So, because at least for me as well, this is the other problem is that you can get through the town. Like we could say from here, from this side of town all the way to this side of town, probably within the span of 20 seconds, probably less than 20 seconds. And the thing is that that's like probably the most ideal situation, is that the player is moving that great of a distance. But considering most of the activities that the player is going to be doing is going to be within a building. For example, maybe they've come to town and they want to go unlock a new skill at the church. So, you know, they're going to come from, we can say from this area here. And remember, I think I mentioned this before, that it only processes, it only checks your community experience and level once upon entering. It checks it and then just removes the event for now. Like it stops processing that. It just makes everything more efficient. There's no reason for it to constantly be checking your community level. It also, I think, makes transitioning much easier, because it would be kind of jarring for the tint and for the lighting and tinting of the map to suddenly just change sporadically because you happen to have leveled up in a community rank at that moment. So to also kind of just smooth things out and make the logic processing much cleaner, is it just checks it when you enter, and then it's done until the next time you enter the exterior of the town. So basically, it is highly likely that when the player enters the town from a level, that it will need to process that audio controller. And if it's processing that audio controller, but like I said, say for example, they just entered the town from here and they just want to go unlock a new skill at the church, this is not a 20-second walk at all, which means it is more than likely to interrupt the audio controller's logic. And it won't process that logic again until they exit the church. And when they exit the church, maybe now the player wants to go buy some stuff at the shop. So now they're going to walk over here and go into the shop, which again is not a 20-second walk. So again, once they go to the shop, it's going to interrupt the logic of the audio controller. And so it's just it's really buggy. Basically, every time the player enters the exterior of this town, until they give enough time for the audio controller to actually process all of its logic, it's gonna seem really kind of jank. Where every single time they enter the town, it's gonna start fading out, and they might hear the bells before they interrupt the logic again, and then the next time they enter town, it fades out, they hear some bells, and then they enter another part of the town, and then they exit again, and they hear the fade out, and then, you know, it's just kind of buggy. So I want to find a better solution to that. But yeah, it's just about moving this logic into a place where it can't be interrupted, which is why I think maybe the common event might work. I don't think common events can be interrupted between scene transitions, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Let's see what else I did. I think that's it. I think I just created the audio controller and these new NPCs as well. So I guess that means we can move on to the Seas, the level that I was working on. I've made a lot of progress here. After taking a break and kind of thinking about some stuff, I managed to kind of come up with what to do for this latter half of the level. And so yeah, I like it. I like it. It's you know, it's actually, the thing is so it's kind of hard to get a sense of scale when you're in the editor, like especially like how far a distance is, like how far is the player really traveling. So I actually had to walk this route a few times just to check, like, is this insanely long of just walking and doing nothing? And you know what, it's actually not that bad. Just walking. I did give enough interrupts and make it interesting enough of a path to follow that I don't think. Well, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. But even if I hadn't, I think it would still be. It would be on the latter end of maybe an okay walk. Like you'd start reaching that line, that threshold where it's like this is too far of a walk. So it's like almost there, but it's okay. So yeah, so I did manage to implement or managed to do all of this tile work and stuff like that up until that point. One thing I did want to mention is that all these enemies I had to rework a lot of the enemies' logic. So what I wanted to do is let's talk about some of the things. So one of the things I wanted to do here about this path, just to keep it interesting, was making sure that there were, I guess you could say, minor player decisions. Decisions that really didn't mean anything towards the game, but at least meant that the player was having to make a choice, which means they're at least engaging a little bit more into the game than just pushing the W key and waiting until the player arrives. And so, like you can see here, there's a jumping part here, which is not entirely necessary. The player can jump this little gap if they so choose, but they can also walk around this way. And some might even realize, oh, I can actually walk through here as well, and that's totally okay as well. So you basically have like a three-way route right there. It's not much, but I felt like it kind of was just the tiny little bit to kind of break things up, which, speaking of breaking things up, there's a small little gap to jump there. And so I kind of played off this idea. I'd call it like what came to mind when I was designing this was like the old like Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance Pokemon games. I guess to an extent the other Pokemon games like on the DS and 3DS as well. But I'd call this the Pokemon design philosophy, where you have a fairly linear path, but you might have like a split in the road that they ultimately connect at a later point, but you might have like a little deviation in the path. Like you can take the upper route or the lower route, but either way they eventually converge at the same entrance/exit to the route that you're currently walking on. And I guess I applied that philosophy here for this linear route. One of the things I wanted to do is you have this decision here, where there's, like I was just talking about, you have a lower route and an upper route that you can take. And one of the things I wanted to do was kind of have a positive route and a negative route, I guess you could say. On one route, you get a chest reward, and on the other route, you get attacked by an enemy. And so this enemy's logic is slightly different than all the other enemies' logic. So basically, this was way back at the very first stream I did. I think it was the very first stream that I did on this game when I was still sandboxing stuff. Is I created the enemy AI logic here, which is basically they are in these regions here, and they are assigned this region and will, if the player is not present within their range, which is in this case the blue 20, although later it becomes 21. Anyways, the 253/252 zone just prevents the enemy from leaving this area, which was actually new to the logic. That logic was not present in the very first stream. That was because I have now added a plugin that allows me to use the 253 region to effectively block events from moving outside of this zone. Anyways, so if the player is not within the region 20 area, then this enemy will just kind of wander randomly around this zone, just doing whatever it wants. It's once the player enters the boundaries of the region 20 that the event will try to pursue the player. This is exactly how I did it in my previous game. It's free, go download it, check it out. And of course in my previous game is way more messier. The logic was way dirtier. I am so proud at how clean and efficient this logic is. Now, anyways, why am I talking about this? Well, so that's the logic that all the other enemies have, except for this enemy here. This enemy's logic is similar, but not quite the same. So it still has the same thing where when the player enters the specified region, in this case it's region 21, that the enemy will pursue the player. However, rather than when the player is not in the region, instead of the enemy AI just moving around randomly, instead it just sits at this tile here and waits for the player to arrive. Once the player enters this 21, it will dash towards the player, so it kind of makes it like a surprise attack. Also, if you're wondering why they're all in a line and not here, I actually have an event that will set whichever event is active, because if you remember, I've talked about this before in my previous streams, these are scaled versions of the same enemies. So like this one's for level 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, so on and so forth. You get the point. So anyways, these are just different versions of the same enemies. Only one of them will be active when the player enters, and I have an event that will set whichever one is active to this spot. So anyways, yeah. So I don't know why, but because I had created this slight variation in the logic, all of the AI and all of the other enemies broke. I don't know why, but I also, upon looking at why they broke, don't even know why they were working in the first place. That was the interesting thing. So let's take a look at one of these enemies. So it does 6 things before it even checks an if. First, as you can see in the comment, it gets the player X and Y and then identifies the player region. So here's the player X, here's the player Y, here this identifies player region based on player X, player Y. Second, it gets the mob's region ID by first getting the mob's X and then getting the mob's Y and then assigning the X and Y to the region ID. So, yes. This is where the problem was. There was other problems too with the other logic, but one of the main problems was that for some reason I never changed which X and Y each mob used. So as you can see, there's a 20, there's a 21 down here, there's a 19, there's 18. 17 and 16. I think 16 is the first one. I started, yeah, here. 16. So there's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Those are the mob regions. Now, for whatever reason, all of them use the exact same mob X, mob Y variable and set the region ID based on those same mob X, mob Y variables. So every single one was adjusting the same. Man, how to fucking explain this? This is difficult to explain. All right. I'm going to draw a picture. All right. So let's go back. Let's create a new one. Okay. So first you have, let's call this one mob 1. And then down here we'll change colors. This is mob 2. And so mob 1 is feeding its X and Y coordinates. And those are feeding back into mob 1. All right, so that's what we have so far. There, right? I'm trying to get this. Let's do a full screen. Where's the full screen? There we go. All right, so this is what we have. So we have mob 1 is getting the X and Y coordinates and then feeding those back into the mob so it knows what region it's in. Now the problem is it's also feeding those exact same coordinates into 2, and it's also feeding that into 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. All the monsters on the map are drawing the same coordinates. Why this was working in the first place, I have no fucking clue. But for whatever fuck all reason, the minute I added this mob to the map, everyone's AI suddenly broke. So, it was at that moment when suddenly everyone's AI was broken that it occurred to me, oh shit, all of these mobs are drawing their X and Y coordinates from the exact same fucking variable. So, if we go into here now, you can now see there is a mob X-16, mob Y. Oh, sorry. Switch cameras. Switch camera. No, there we go. Mob X-16, mob Y-16, mob X-17, mob Y-17, mob X-18, mob Y-18, mob X-19, and so on and so forth. You get the point. So these are for region IDs. These help me identify. So, you know, I'd put mob X, the mob X variable, mob X-16 with the 16 region, and mob Y-16 with the 16 region, and then mob X and mob Y-17 with the 17 region, and so on and so forth. And then over here we have the region IDs. So we have mob region ID 16, mob region ID 17, mob region ID 18, mob region ID 19, mob region ID 20, mob region ID 21, so on and so forth. So you get that. So yeah, I had to create all of those and then assign the appropriate X-region ID, Y-region ID, as well as the appropriate mob region ID -region ID to each of these. And I had to go through every enemy that I'd implemented and change that value. So that was fun. That took a while to do. Then, later, this is only a small thing. I didn't necessarily need to fix it. But in order to prevent possible headaches future way down the line in the future, I had noticed that actually the player's X and Y and region ID was also slightly problematic because it was using the sandbox variables. So I have these variables that are specific to just my sandbox. And now these more or less function exactly the same way. Like, these variables can take the same place in the main game. However, to prevent any possible interference, you know, I don't know, something I just overlook, something I don't think about, touches a variable that it shouldn't have touched, and then shit goes haywire. Rather than having to deal with that possibility, I just wanted to separate everything I'd done in the sandbox and everything that's actually in the game itself. And so, I had noticed that the player variables were still assigned to the sandbox. Now, like I said, I didn't need to adjust this because obviously it still works. It doesn't matter if this variable has the correct, integer assigned to it. Like, we're checking the X and Y, so if it's like the current variable says 256 and the Y variable, the Y's integer says 30, that's fine. I mean, if that's perfectly targeting the player's location, no problem. It doesn't matter. However, like I said, there's that just chance that maybe I'll forget this stuff or touch the variable when I shouldn't have, and it's just better to make sure that I have the dedicated variable for the player when they're in the main game, not the sandbox. So, I had to go back through all of the enemies and make sure to reassign the correct variable for the player. So, fun! I had to adjust all of the fucking monsters. There's more to it as well. Down here, their if logic was also assigned to the wrong X and Y variables, and so, you know, it's all stuff that I had to do. So that was fun. That took a little while to do, but obviously I got it done and I play tested. And the thing is actually, triggering combat seems to be a little bit snappier. Like before, it wasn't super slow when it triggered the combat, but what would happen is, like, it was possible to slip past the enemy without triggering combat if you timed things just right. Like if you moved through the enemy on the right frame at the right time, rather than when you guys overlap, battle would start. Instead, you would just slip past each other. So, like, battle wouldn't start here, and you would just keep walking. And So that was like a rare occurrence that would happen sometimes. And what I've noticed since fixing the variables to have the a specific variable assigned to each specific region ID, that that problem is not occurring anymore. It is like almost immediately when you touch the enemy, like you're not even fully overlapping the enemy when the battle starts. Like it is just like you're here and bam, battle starts. And the reason why I think this is because for every enemy that is processing that X and Y coordinates, it's basically constantly overwriting the variable, and it's basically like the X and the Y variable just so happen to be set at the correct time when the player just so happens to be over the enemy, and then the event triggers. But if you don't have the timing just right, another monster in an entirely different region, somewhere way far away, has now already changed the X and Y variables to something else, which means the X and Y variables that trigger the battle are no longer the correct ones, and so the battle doesn't start. So I think that's what's created that bug. Now, because my computer can process those variable settings, it happened quickly. So you would still guaranteed to start a battle up until I added the region ID 21 in there. I don't know why that suddenly broke everything, but anyways, yeah. So you would still trigger the battle because it's still changing those variables fast enough that it is unlikely that you would be able to slip past the enemy entirely before it had set the variable to the correct ones to trigger the battle. But there was still the chance where it was like maybe it just changed this monster's X and Y just as you were entering it, which gave you just enough time to slip past it without it changing the variables back to where the monster is. It sounds like I'm talking fucking nonsense. It makes sense in my head. I hope you could follow along. You get the point. It was a mess. And for whatever reason, probably it's good that this happened now, if I'm being honest. Whenever I added in this enemy here, everything suddenly just fell apart. And like I said, I guess it's better that it happened here when there's, at this point, I think there's 5 enemies on this map. 6. There's 6 enemies. 6? Yeah, 6 enemies on this map. And then there's 4 on the other map here, this one. So yeah, so it could be worse. I could have discovered that bug when I had developed all 3 of the levels, which would each have their 10 plus enemies, and I'd have to go through and individually reassign all of these variables to them, and that would be a nightmare. So I guess I'm glad I ran into this problem now. But still, that doesn't change the fact it still sucked having to go through all 10. So, anyways, yeah, that's everything that I've done. Is I did those events, and then I tiled the rest of this, and also created the audio controller for the town. There is this house here, which was an idea that I had as well for breaking up some of this very long linear path, and it's so again, going back to I mentioned this in my previous stream, is that I wanted to kind of create some stuff that kind of creates some cohesion between the levels that you explore and the town that you engage with, and kind of create some sort of cohesion between them, where it's not just like that's the part where you kill stuff and that's the part where you talk to people, but instead I kind of wanted to kind of feel like one world. And so this actually was my idea, is that I talked about Senna, which is the new NPC that I added here, and so this makes sense in the book that I wrote, but she doesn't really want to be around her dad, and So she's gone to town for a visit, but she doesn't have a house here. So that's why that I've decided to put her down here, not with the houses. And her dad is here at the, not there, and it's here. So this is her dad. So he will also participate in that storyline as well. So. I've built out the shape of the house, but obviously I have not even added the interior to it, which is why he's actually just standing outside. He's not going to be standing outside. He will be inside the house. But just because I wanted to kind of implement him for that storyline, that vignette, he's just standing outside, so I could at least process that, and then I can just move him inside once I have built the inside. So yeah, let's take a drink, because that was a lot of talking. That was a lot of bullshitting, man. Talking nonsense about variables and bugs and whatever. So here's the good news. We have now built up to the boat. This is the big idea of this level. Like everything before this was just like just to get to this point, really. The whole point of this level is to get to the boat, and then this is where the second half of the level comes in, where now the player needs to get to these 3 islands here, here, and here. So yeah, that's the next thing that needs to be built, are these islands, because these little dots are just there to like kind of indicate to me where I need to put the islands. So now we're going to build them out, give them a shape, make them more island-like, and also fill out the ocean as well, which is not going to be tough. I just need to add some of the dark waters to fill out the body inside, but I don't want to just like slap a circle down and call it good. We might add some shallower parts and some deeper parts and some bays and some sandbars and whatever else. So that's the next step. Yeah. I feel like there's something else I was going to say, but I don't remember. So, yeah. So getting to the boat is the main thing. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. So, last night before I went to bed, because it's actually when I finished getting all of the enemies' AIs corrected and finished the tiling around here. I played through the game from start to this boat here, and I was pretty happy with the amount of playtime I got out of it. It's already at about the length of my previous game. It's free, go check it out. Yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. Now, of course, actually, a lot of that is actually just dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue at the beginning. I had my phone next to me with the timer open, and I was just timing it. And it's like, at my reading pace, which is a little bit slow, it took about 10 minutes to get through, from the title screen until the player was in the town, and then there's like a second intro sequence once they arrive at town, and that second intro sequence took about another 10 more minutes. So it's like 20 minutes of just dialogue from title screen to when the player has control. Now, granted, I took the longest route possible there, and again, also I'm kind of a slow reader, so there's a couple of things. First of all, at the very intro, when the minute you start it up, there's a whole section there that it's possible to skip through very quickly, especially if you haven't played my previous game. You'll skip through it very quickly, which is why if you want to get through my small little game that I'm working on now quickly, you don't need to go download my previous game. But if you do play my previous game, then you'll probably have access to more stuff when you play this game, simply based off the way that I do the intro. So anyways, go download my previous game. And then also, after you have a moment in the end with some dialogue and introducing the characters, you'll come out here, and because I was kind of aware that at the time of writing all this dialogue that boy, this is really long-winded. I decided, despite it not making entire sense in the story, I decided I would go ahead and give a chance for the players to just end it all if they want to. And the character will ask them, do you want to continue this, or do you just want to go off on your own? And so at that point, the player is welcome to say, nah, I'm not interested, I'm ready to play the game. So that could also, between the skipping through some of the intro stuff and skipping the additional dialogue, you could probably cut the intro down a lot, as well as, of course, reading a little bit faster than me. So, yeah, so that was already 20 minutes. And then from there, I just went straight to the level. And then, so you have the tutorial fight, and then you're here in the level. And going from here, now I did all of the content in the level as well, so I went over and got this extra chest over there, and then fought every single enemy along the way. But between fighting all of the enemies, getting the extra chest, and making my way all the way to this boat, in total it took about an hour it took about 40 minutes. So in total, my playtime last night was an hour. Going from title screen to the ship was about an hour. And considering it took about 20 minutes to get through all the dialogue at the beginning, that means it was roughly about 40 minutes to go from gameplay start to this boat, which I'm pretty happy with. I think that's a pretty good amount of time for this game that I think has a pretty small scope. If I keep that consistent, I could probably say this level will probably last about an hour. And if I can keep that consistent, an hour for each level, that would be 3 hours. Plus you have whatever involvement that you do in the community. I could easily imagine people spending an additional 2 hours with the community, but let's be generous and say just an hour with the community stuff. That's a 4-hour game. That's not bad for a second game, I don't think. These are rough estimates, but I'm pretty happy with the size that this game is turning out to be. So, anyways, I've talked a lot of shit so far. As usual, I've gotten you guys caught up, but it's a little bit early. I'm still ready to work. So, first thing I want to do is actually do some work in the game. You'll watch me do some tiling. This is not the most interesting part, but you know, we'll just sit here and just have a chat. I don't want these islands to be especially large, but they do need to be large enough that the player can hopefully find it. Like this is the basically the buffer for if the player sails too far or too short of the island, then the longer it is, the less precise they need to be with their sailing, if that makes sense. So so I think that's probably a pretty good size, and we'll kind of just round it out, kind of make it a more believable islandy shape. So like that. And actually, if we want to make this a mirror, let's go here. Yeah, this one's kind of like a shuriken kind of shape. So let's kind of imitate that as well. So we'll just kind of pull that down there, and then I'm actually gonna bring this one out a little bit like that. There. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we're gonna add some water back here, just kind of make it a little bit more like that shuriken shape. Yeah, like that. And same thing for this one here. Yeah, like that. Kind of looks like a, I don't know, never mind. I was gonna say, kind of looks like a bird that's just been turned sideways, but not really. Yeah, so that's gonna be the shape for that. And let's just check how far does it stick out. I think that's still far enough away from the coastline that the player shouldn't be able to see it. I should probably check that though, just to make sure. Let's set the player here. Make sure that they can't see it from when they're walking. Oh yeah. No, no, no. I don't think there's any way. It's really far away. Ah, you can just barely see it. You can see it sticking out right there. Yeah, right there. And then if we go through here, you might be able to see it even more. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Dang, I wish there was a, like, highlight and shift. Alright, I need to move this over, up and over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these. I'm going to use these to kind of mark where the boundaries are. That actually probably needs to go up. I'm not going to lie. There. There. That's probably more than generous. Make sure that it's not within the player's view. But again, let's double check. Okay, I don't see any rocks yet, so I think it might be okay. Ah, you can just barely see the rocks there. Alright. So these need to go in, just to be extra sure. These need to go in there. And actually, again, being extra sure, I want to lift this up a little bit, so not here. So that's where that's the outer boundary. So I need to move this island that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to remove most of this. Yeah, like that. And let's remove some of that too. And here. All right, so this one needs to be the shuriken shape. So, like that. Yeah. And then this can go there. It's not quite right. This one can go like this. Just bring that up. There. And yeah, kind of like that. We'll tuck this corner in a little bit, kind of add a little bit more definition to the coastline here. There. Looks like a nice little island. And hopefully that means that there's no way that the player can see this island from the cliffs, from the main path. So, next, what I want to do is, actually, yeah, I think I'm going to put some deep water, but it's going to be a fairly thin path of deep water. We can move this in, actually. Like there, 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 there. This can move in a little bit. That one too. And what I want to do as well is I want to put a little more definition on the coastline here. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Kind of looking like a sideways dinosaur now. So, anyways, I want to make sure that there's plenty of shallow water around the island as well, because the shallow water will kind of be a subtle indicator to the player that they are near an island. So it will be kind of a way to help them navigate the sea. So making sure that there's a nice little buffer around the island will help them. Will help with that. So I actually think right now there's 2 squares roughly. I think 4 squares. Yeah, let's try to keep it at about 4 squares. So there's 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. I don't think that was exactly 4, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. 4? Oh, yeah, okay. So definitely need to put a lot more going down. So, yeah. That one needs to be like that. And there. Let's do 4. That's fine. So, yeah, that'll kind of give, I think, a nice kind of buffer area for players to try to find these islands. It doesn't need to be perfectly 4. It's totally fine if it's less than 4, but at least keeping that goal in mind will help. I think will help me make sure that the players are able to find where they're going, because that's been my big concern, is about navigating the sea, which is ironic because that's kind of the I mean, that's kind of the point. That's the reference I'm making. It's not super highbrow. In fact, it's so stupid that people will be like, "Is that really the joke he's going for?" And they're not even going to believe that's a joke because it's so fucking stupid. The other ones are so goddamn obvious. The other level names are so obvious that, I mean, it'd be hard to miss the point with the other levels. However, the seas, on the other hand, um, it's so dumb that there might be people who are like, no, that's not the joke, is it? That's not really the joke. Yeah, that's the joke. That's the joke. Ooh, that's a little bit close to the coastline, but that's okay. Again, it's not a big deal. Actually, we'll go ahead and just make some of this look a little bit tidier anyways, and while I'm tidying it up, I might as well just go ahead and clean that up. So, there we go. And yep, there we are. Actually, let's do that. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see, how do we want to do this? I think is that 4? Almost. Roughly about there. That's how we are going to route our way around the coastline. So there we have it. And now we can put
goes there like that. This one will be a little bit lower. And this one will be even a little bit more lower. And then this one will be a little bit higher. And this one will be a little bit higher. Isn't this just thrilling? Ah, but there's this sudden jump. So let's actually... yeah. Kind of smooth it out like that. In fact, I almost kind of want to... yeah. Do it like that. And so, what we can do... I don't want that one. Here, this one will go there. And then... here. Alright, let's bump this all the way up and bring that out. How do we want to do this? So I think... can't perfectly follow the coastline because of this. I guess I could just... yeah, I think that's probably fine. And then I think actually kind of bringing it around there like that. I think that's okay. So that's going to be the outline for this bay, which the ship resides in. Just like that. And here, I think... yeah, that's going to be the outline for this little jetty right here. There we are. It's looking good so far. You know what we can do, so it's not so quiet all the time? I can play some royalty-free music. How about the soundtrack to this game so far? Let's bring it up. Go down to, here it is, and it's in this folder, this folder, this folder, this folder. I don't want to play that one because that would be a spoiler. Let's play these. one more song. They're kind of all over the place. That's why it's taking. I've tried to build a consistent folder because I do at some point want to release the soundtrack, and so rather than having to constantly search all these folders for the correct version, I have some of them in their own dedicated in the soundtrack folder, but not all of them have made it there yet. So it's taking a moment to find the few stragglers that haven't made it into that folder. I'm looking at the wrong folder right now anyways. What am I doing? Is that all of them? Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, that's all the music. So. And when I talk, yeah, okay, good. Alright. So now we have some background noise while I do this. And on that note, I need to use the toilet. So let's swap cameras there, alright? And I'll be right back while you enjoy the tunes. Back. I gotta refresh my drink. Put some ice in there. Just gonna put in the Coke, the whiskey, bourbon, whatever it is. Something. Actually, there's probably already enough Coke in there. Probably don't really need to put that much more. Just top it off with a bit of a drink. Good. Ooh. Ooh. Did I put too much in there? What the fuck? No, it was just all floating on the top. It's fine. All right. Back in action. Yeah. Keep doing the seas around this. See where we want to go. To about here. Here. Let's go ahead and also top this off too. Get all this done. Ooh, there's the other island right there. Wow, once you add the body to the island, they're a little bit closer than I thought. I'll just go ahead and put that there. I probably will have to remove a lot of this once I add the body. What I should try to do though is make sure that this island is more upwards than it is downwards. So that way this is kind of like the southernmost edge, maybe. That way it's not creeping in too close to this island. Probably fine. There. And that's an island right there. So I'll probably do some decorations on it later. Right now I just want to kind of define the island shape. And once I define the island shape and implement all the deep water zones, then I'll come back to each individual island and add the detailing on the island, as well as add the interior, because I think they're going to have a cave on them is really what I think it's going to be. There's going to be a cave, it's going to go to a small room, and inside that small room is going to be some trial that the player has to overcome. One of the ideas I have is like a sort of a gauntlet of enemies. Another one will be a puzzle. Those are the only two ideas I have so far, and there's 3 islands, so I'll have to figure out what the third idea is. But anyways, yeah, that one's good for now. Let's hop back over to the Rocky Lake and check the northernmost island. It's just a square, so I'm guessing we'll just kind of go for like a general kind of, I don't know, kind of like just a round island. Oops, not there. So if this is going to be the southernmost island, or southernmost part of the island, oops, I'm doing the wrong thing. Let's do this. Probably a little bit more there. And it's not quite the southernmost part, but that's alright. I just didn't want it to go too far down, because then there would be a problem. That's probably all I need to really do for the island. It's kind of give it some definition so it doesn't just look like a circle. I don't like that. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that'll work for me. Now we just need to add... Is there any... Yeah, there's nothing nearby, so... It's okay. I don't need to check to make sure that the player can't see it. There's only this island down south that's kind of close to the cliffs that I need to make sure that the player couldn't see the island. So now let's go ahead and do the same thing as before and make sure that's about 4 blocks. There's about 4 blocks distance. Bad. Here, about there, that. Now we need to go from here to there. Yep, that'll work. Here. A little bit far out. don't like how straight this line looks here, so I kind of want to give a little bit more definition. And considering the boat is probably coming from the south, I think it's okay if this doesn't exactly have 4, so we'll kind of let it bleed in a little bit. Like that. Yeah. Speaking of straight, as well as, it's also a little bit kind of jank. Oh, that's because I didn't do this section here. Alright. That's probably fine. Head over here, get all of this done before I move on to the next island. Work. Oh, and then there's all of this, which most of it's not even going to get used. I made this map way too large. I mean, there is going to be something up in the north. It's not going to be a lot. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna have where the main boss is, but it's probably going to be an island about this size, so whatever. Alright. Next, we need to make our way over here to this island, which I think it had kind of like two squares, so I think there should be kind of like basically 2 circles with a thin bridge between it. Kind of an amoeba shape, I guess you'd say. I'd almost say that's like the thin bridge, and then here, that. Yeah, kind of like that. Yep, I think that's alright. Maybe a little bit more here.
Yep. I think that's probably okay. Sort of. This is a little bit weird here, but kind of looks better. Vaguely. Alright. And there is this beach down here, but I don't really care if I have to paint over it, because it's not going to be used. Something that looks really inappropriate about this. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna remove that. I don't know what it is. It's probably my dirty fucking mind. I don't even know what it is that makes it inappropriate, but there's just something like back here that's saying that's not appropriate. This. Yeah, now. Bye-bye.
There. Alright, now we just need to fill out the center of the sea. And then we'll have all the islands put in. That's about as much of this I'm going to cut off for now. This little island here was tripping me up. I thought it was another island I had marked off, and I was like, why did I mark that off? But it's because I had painted over all of this section. It's just, I left one single tile left. Alright. We just need to clean up this area down here. I'll leave it alone for now. Let's take a look. Zoom way out. There we go! Those are the 3 islands that the player will need to find. Now I'm thinking somewhere... These are actually a little bit larger than I anticipated. They're about the size of this beach. Actually, this beach is pretty big. Let's take a look. Let's plop the player down on each of these islands. Alright. I'm gonna pause the music so we don't have music playing over music. Yeah, new game. Okay, that's not so bad. What can the players see? Yeah, that's not so bad of an island size. That one's okay. Like I said, it's kind of hard to get a sense of scale. Yeah, this one's also not so bad. That's about what I wanted. Yep. I am okay with that as well. Alright. Yeah. Well, they look pretty large when I zoom out. Like, I'm just kind of like comparing their size relative to like the beach where the ship is at. And yeah, that beach actually looks smaller, but maybe it's just kind of the... I think it's because there's this shallow water around them followed by that water, the deep water. It makes it kind of look much larger than it is. Anyways, so yeah, now what I want to do is I want to put a marker for where the boss's place is going to be. Well, shit. Keep going straight. Yeah, I think that'll be good. All right, I'm going to zoom in on it. So this time when I change to tiles, it will be right about at the center of my screen here. There, like that. So I think that's going to be roughly about where the boss's island is going to be. And I'm thinking it can be kind of like a that's an M, but like a claw shape, like this, kind of like a sideways crescent moon kind of thing. So let's zoom out and try to make that shape. So I feel like that's actually going too far south. So instead, I think this should mark the southernmost part of the island. And in fact, I'm going to put this grass tile there. Oh, no. Two to the right. There. So that's going to be about where the main body is. And then the claws, I guess you could say the claws, the crescents will extend from here to there. So, like, yeah, like that. Let's put the music back on. Yeah, kind of something like that. If we zoom out, like, how big is that? It's a little bit smaller than I wanted, but yeah, I don't know. Do I want to? If I put the player here, let's just take a look. Put it right on that grass tile. That's convenient. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's leave it at 20. Because I think just the width of the screen is about 22, so that's actually going to be a little bit wide. It's 22, 24. So it's about 20. Fuck it. What is the width of the screen? 26. 26. So if it's about 13 left and right, that's gonna give a generous buffer because there's the one in the middle. I say generous, it's not generous, but it will give a buffer. Should be enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright. So the next thing I want to do is make the tips of the claws here and here. So first I'm going to erase this. There. There. Why does that not look right? I guess it is right. Yeah. All right. Let's put... Oops, didn't mean to do that there. That's pretty good. this should all be shallow water. Just like that. Sort of looks crooked. Ah, yeah. Here. Still looks... Ah, this one is 3. Should be 2.
What is happening? Why does it still look crooked?
That one should not be like that. I think all of these, even though I just put them there, are wrong. Alright. So this one should be... This should be 2. This should be 1. Am I stupid? What has happened here? I see you hiding there. Ah, I see. This is like much longer than this. Already 2 here. Oh. 2. What the heck happened? Why why does this need to be wider than this one? I guess there's the one extra piece. There should just be one. Oh. What has happened here? This one should be 2, I see. And then 1. There we go. And it should be 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's right. Alright. We figured it out in the end. So these are going to be 2, except for this one. That's 3. Go to 2. It's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to be 2. Still looks lopsided. What have I done? Alright, what happened here? Crazy? I think I'm just crazy. Everything looks about right. I think that's right. I'm just not gonna mess with it for right now. Hours? I don't know. Maybe that's enough. Yeah. We made a lot of progress. I got these islands implemented here. And started making the boss island. But, yeah, that'll need some more work. And then also I need to create the barrier that prevents the player going past. I haven't decided how I want to do that. I mean, I could just take like an impassable object and just, you know, draw a line across the map, but I don't know if I really want to do that. So I guess I could probably use the regions. My plugin, my region restriction plugin, doesn't stop boats, unfortunately. I've already tried that, actually, so I already know that doesn't work. So I don't know. I'll have to figure out what to do. How much is north of... Yeah, it's quite a bit. It's all of this north of the boss, so... I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But for now, I think that's going to be it for my stream tonight. Thanks for joining as always. Remember, I've now added links to all my stuff in the description. So you can check out my book, you can check out my music, and you can check out my previous game. It's worth it because it's free. So that's going to be it. And I guess I'll see you guys next weekend, and hopefully with a little bit more progress. Like I said, if all goes well, then I should be responsible and take care of life things and not game development things, which means I won't have time to be developing all the time, which means maybe next week I won't have as much progress to show you either. So if all goes well, that's how it'll be. But I'll see you guys next time, whatever that progress is. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell and hit the like button.